Alrighty, you are looking live at Sold Out MetLife Stadium, where today the 16-0 and playoff bound New York Giants are taking on the 0-16 Dallas Cowboys. And why the Dallas Cowboys 0-16? Because they suck. Welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there at all that's going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Or if anybody's going to spend any time at all watching the replay, just once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I can use all the support I can get, guys. So thank you. I'm going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight, shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free. Fire away, throw it in the chat box. I usually try to check on the chat box like every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So as soon as I see something in there, I try to respond to it as fast as I can. So please feel free, fire away. And also, instead of me just like rambling on for half an hour, 40 minutes, or whatever it is, it's nice just to talk to another Giant fan. So please feel free and fire away. Before I get started, if anybody wants to help support my channel out, it would mean the absolute world to me. In the description box below, there's a top link. Takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. The first one's called the Saquon, second one's called the Lawrence Taylor, and the third membership level is called the Gridiron. Each one's got their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel out, I thank you in advance. Thank you. If you are subscribed to my channel, once again, thank you. If you're not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. That way, next time I go live or put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. And finally, also in the description box below, there's 2 Facebook links. The top one takes you to my the Facebook. It's a group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's a group. It basically, I say this in every video, basically my YouTube channel, my Facebook group, my Facebook page is pretty much all called the same thing. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. That way, a moron like me, I can remember. It's not, I don't have to. What's the page called? What's the YouTube channel? It's all called the same thing. Dumbs it down for me, right? What do we got? We're at over 3,800 members in the group. And basically what it is when I'm done going live, I'll usually spend like up to the next 2 hours or so just putting stuff in the group and in the page, which I'll go over in a minute. I try to get up 10 things a day in there if I can. Sometimes it's a little difficult in the off season, but when the regular season's on, there's a ton of stuff to put in there. But I try to whether it's an article, a video, a post, a picture, just something showing some stats on a player, something making fun of the Eagles or the Cowboys, which are my personal favorites. I try to get as much stuff in there as I possibly can. And also, we have over 3,800 members. If you become a member as well, too, now I put stuff in there, but members post stuff in there as well, too. So there's a ton of Giants information going in there every day. And the second Facebook link takes you to my Facebook page. It's called the New York Giants Gridiron, but it's my page. I'm the administrator, so I'm the only one who posts anything in there. But what do we at? We have over 1,800 people who like it. We're over 6,100 people who are following the page. It's really doing just marvelous, simply marvelous. But it's the same thing. After I get done live, I'm putting all kinds of stuff in here. As I said, same thing, up to 10 things a day if I can in there. And I don't commingle. So basically, I won't whatever I put in the page, I don't put in the group. Whatever I put in the group, I don't put in a page, right? I try to keep them separate. Unless I see something really so funny that just makes fun of the Eagles, I just got to share it with everybody because that's what I'm put on this earth for, just to make fun of the Philadelphia Eagles. And if I can do that, it's been a good day, right? But it says the same thing. I put stuff in there every day, and it's up to 10 things or so, best as I can. As I said, sometimes in the off season it's a little difficult, but once the regular season goes on, there's usually a ton of stuff going in here. So if you go to the page and you like it and you follow it, and you go to the group and you become a member, you get a ton of New York Giants information every day. Now, like I say in every video, right? If you go to the page and you like it and you follow it, and you go to the group and you become a member. If you're not 100% satisfied, you get your money. You get your money back guaranteed. All right, with all that stuff said and done and out of the way with, got, well, once again, I mean, there's a few things. Once again, no love from PFF. I'm going to start off here with the Leo the Lion. He's talking about, he said, Leonard Williams, and I don't know if he had this conversation with NBC Sports or exactly what it was, but it was posted by Josh Alper. It's from NBC Sports. It says, Leonard Williams, we have everything it takes to go even further in the playoffs. You gotta like that. You gotta like that. Since Giants defensive end Leonard Williams had to wait a while to make his first postseason. Yeah, I mean, this is just, I mean, you get a douche like Kadarius Toney, right? I mean, deserves basically absolutely nothing. And of course, he's given, the Giants and the fans and all of New York and all that the middle finger because he has a Super Bowl ring, which he's a douche, so he doesn't deserve it. Then you have really just phenomenal talents, athletes, but not only that, human beings, teammates, like Leonard Williams, who deserves the world, right? And it was his 8th season last year, and he finally made the postseason. I mean, just to make a game, and the douche Kadarius Toney's winning Super Bowl. Life's not fair. Sometimes life's just not fair. Life can be absolutely wonderful, but sometimes it cannot be fair, and that's a good case of it. Leonard Williams just trying to make it to a postseason, and you got the douche Toney, the Joker. Well, he's the joke, but going all, getting traded to a team that winds up winning the Super Bowl. So it is what it is. But you're really happy for Leonard Williams. I said the Giants beat the Vikings, obviously, before falling the Eagles. But Williams doesn't think that they need that element in order to last even longer. Says the Giants won't be catching anyone off guard this time around, but Williams doesn't think that they need that element in order to last even longer in a second straight trip to the playoffs. Williams says it motivates me a lot via the team's website. Last year shows me we have everything it takes right here in the building to go even farther. We made it there. We added some more additions to our team. Yes, they did. Absolutely. They added a few more pieces to the puzzle. They added not only that, but they got better competition, a lot of other positions as well, too. They're not a complete team. It's still a little process. It's not going to get all fixed in 2 years. But, so it's a process. You're going to have to give them another year or two before, maybe more of a really finished product. But they're getting there. He said, we just got closer, built more and more camaraderie. That was my first time going through the playoffs. We got a win in the playoffs. I'm getting closer toward the end of my career. Well, it is, That is something that really motivates me, is getting the ring. But it says, it's not easy. It said the Giants faced 5 of their fellow 2022 playoff teams in the first 6 weeks of the season. So Williams and company will need to show their right off the bat, right, in order to position themselves for another postseason berth this time around. So they got their work cut out for them, that's for sure. But I mean, figure Leonard Williams, he's been around since 2015. He's played, he's played a lot of snaps. He's only missed a handful of games. Obviously some of them were last year. I believe those were like the first games he ever missed, period. He didn't necessarily start all the other games, but he played in pretty much, I think it looks like every game. His rookie season, he played in 15. He played in all 16 games, 2016, all 16, 2017, 2018, all 16. 2019, he only played in 15, but I think that had something to do with him going from the Jets to the Giants. I think he might have missed a game or something like that in there. But then 2020, played in all 16. 2021, he played in all 17. Last year, he missed 5 games because of his neck. But it looks like that was the first time he missed any time. He'll be 29. So he's still not even 30. It's hard to believe this will be his 9th season, and he's not even 30 years old yet. It's hard to believe. It just shows to show you what a phenomenal talent he was coming out of college. But he has played a lot of snaps. hopefully, if he does start wearing down, hopefully it won't, hopefully it won't be for another couple of seasons, hopefully. And hopefully the Giants can wind up maybe re-signing him. But you got to also remember, too, it's kind of tough to, as much as you want him back, it's kind of tough to, I'm sorry, I got my dog's running to my feet there. It's tough to pay, Leonard Williams, Sexy Dexy, 20 plus a year. And then, bringing Leonard Williams back for another, 15 a year, whatever you might want. I don't know what they can get him for, but and you brought a Carrick in for 10 a year. And then you got Waller in for 10, 11, 12 a year. Right. And you're going to bring Saquon back for, whatever you're going to 10 to 15 a year. You just signed Daniel Jones for 40 a year. You got, Andrew Thomas is coming up for a big payday, and you can't forget about Xavier McKinney because he's going to need a payday because he's a second rounder, so we're going to need to pay him or try to come up with a contract with him. Because we don't have a fifth year on. So we got to if we want to keep him, we have to pay him. So we got some guys in the pipeline that are going to need to be paid. And it's tough to just you can't pay everybody $25 million. It's just not, it can't happen. So we'll have to wait and see. But, the Giants are definitely set up. Now, will they make the playoffs? You have to wait and see. Yeah. Obviously, a lot depends upon, health. They have a tougher schedule. So, theoretically, they could wind up, 10-7, actually have a better season, winning maybe one more game and maybe not, the 10-7. That would be hard to miss the playoffs, I think, at 10-7. But, so basically they could almost wind up almost with almost the same record as last year. Basically seem to be stagnant with the win-loss record, but actually have a better season. So, but it's really nice to see things like that happening to good people like Leonard Williams. Then, of course, we got PFF. Once again, no love. What's up, Terrence? Process is taking shape. Yep, yes, it is. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's with the salary cap that Shane walked into last year, he comes in, he's like, looking around. Hey, how you doing? I'm George. How you doing? Oh, you're my scouting guy? Oh, nice to meet you. He's walking in. There's no salary cap space last year. He doesn't even know who his scouts are and his stuff and everything. And, it's pretty tough, So, we're adding a lot of pieces to the puzzle. A lot of depth. I said we're not a complete team by any stretch of the imagination. And even as good as the Eagles were last year, they're not a complete team. It's basically pretty much almost darn near impossible to be a 100% complete team. But the Giants are certainly getting there. They have some deficiencies, but the one nice thing is that hopefully after this season's over with and the dust everything settles and the smoke clears, or however that saying goes, right? You can start looking at some of the guys that they might want to get rid of. It's like far as some of the offensive linemen. Obviously Glowinski, or do we keep a Bredesen? Is Lemieux? Do we actually have a backup center? Do we have the starting left guard? Can we take some of Glowinski's spot? Right? Who are the wide receivers we want to keep? Who we're going to let go? The running back. So we got a bunch of stuff to start. Clearing out. We got a ton of guys in the secondary. Holy cow! Lots of competition. So things will start settling down, and then start working from there. The same thing with Leonard Williams. We're going to keep him. Then it's also another guy is what we're doing with Adoree Jackson. Not going to re-sign him. Do we have a second cornerback on this roster that can take his spot, or do we have to go out and get another cornerback? Are we going to try to win with Waller and Saquon and Daniel Jones and hopefully get a better, add to the offensive line and just wide receiver by committee kind of thing? So it's taking shape, but it's not something that's going to be fixed overnight, even in 2 years. You just can't, you ain't gonna, wave a wand. Hey, we're Super Bowl champs. Not happening. Of course, then we got PFF, and this is rightfully so. Ranks the linebackers units. Where did the Giants land? Way down. Well, actually, it's now. I'll tell you, not number 22. Well, because they got Okereke in there. So if they didn't have Okereke in there, I think the Giants would be ranked, 37th out of 32 teams, because that was not pretty last year. Let's see what they got here. Pro Football Focus has continued its offseason series of positional rankings, and for the Giants, the swing remains substantial. Either they are ranked among the league's best or among the least worst, with nothing in between. Basically, that's almost spot on. Spot on. Yeah. Those results stay true to form earlier this week when PFF ranking their linebackers among the Giants linebackers among the bottom. So a season ago, the Giants linebackers posted the second worst overall grade in football. Excuse me. 35.8. Oh, yeah. That's pretty horrible. It was a struggle all season for them in many facets. The 43.2 run defense grade and a 30 coverage grade were among the bottom three marks in the NFL and necessitated a significant acquisition. Like that's what, Shane and Dable walked into. Horrible linebacker play. That acquisition came in the form of Bobby Okereke. Okereke proved his worth in a lead role in Indianapolis, while Shaquille Leonard was injured for most of the season. His 73.3 overall grade bettered every player in the New York Giants linebacking corps. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Finding Okereke some help on the second level would be a major issue, with Jared Davis, Micah McFadden looking like the primary options. And don't forget about Darren Beavers as well, too. The addition of Okereke cannot be overstated. The Giants have struggled at inside linebacker for nearly oh, yeah, my goodness. Well, I got so lucky growing up because, with Harry Carson being there, I grew up with decent linebacker play. And you start taking that for granted, especially when it's not there. Let's see. Okereke represents a significant upgrade and one who will improve those around him. The Giants also seem to be high on Micah McFadden, who could earn a starting role next to Okereke. Still, depth at the position is lacking. Darren Beavers could help improve that after missing his rookie season due to injury, and he's certainly motivated to do so. The Giants also have the aforementioned Jared Davis, as well as Cam Brown, Carter Coughlin, Deontay Johnson, and Troy Brown. So, we'll have to wait and see there. And, because we're also looking at possibly Cam Brown and Carter Coughlin maybe being on the roster bubble. So, because they can only keep 53, and if you keep bringing guys in for the inside linebacker position, that pushes like Carter Coughlin and Cam Brown farther down the depth chart. And, maybe Cam Brown's maybe a really good special teamer, but if he's like inside linebacker number 6 or something like that, you're going to kind of wonder if they're going to wind up keeping him around. But this is well deserved. 2022. That's very, 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 very fair. Darren Beavers, he showed some potential, but that was in preseason. And the only evidence we have is nothing in the regular season from Darren Beavers. So we don't know what he can do in the regular season. As I said, Jared Davis came in, didn't do absolutely horrible, but you also got to remember, too, he came in toward the end of the season. It's like, hey, Davis, how you doing? Here's our playbook. All right, go out and play defense. All right, have fun. All right, yeah. Kind of tough to, set the world on fire there, right? So this would be his second season in, not even a second full season, but, with Wink in the defense, right? You still have a lot of the same pieces around them. And, so hopefully he should take a little step forward. Wink went out of his way to talk about Micah McFadden. He said, Micah McFadden has really improved. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, does that mean run defense or, maybe, it's also they're out there in their pajamas running around in the mini camp and all OTAs and all that, But when the real bullets are flying out there, can he cover? Is he going to be on the field asked to cover at all? Is he just going to be on run situations? But I mean, he also look like that too. I mean, it's like Jalen Hurts comes up to the line of scrimmage. He looks over there. Oh, there's Micah McFadden. He can't cover anybody. Okay, and whatever his words are. But Jalen Hurts will go, Omaha, switches it up. He got 2 plays called in the huddle, right? One's a run, one's a pass. So he calls the run. We walk up to the line of scrimmage. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, you can't cover anybody. All right, Omaha. Yeah. So, I mean, just because, it's a run situation, they walk up to the line of scrimmage and they, they can change the play if they want. It's like, when you got a cornerback in there taking the place of somebody gets injured, right? And you got a second string cornerback in there and he goes, and the quarterback walks up and he sees a backup cornerback in there against their star wide receiver. Quarterback's like foaming at the mouth. He's like, he's salivating. That's exactly where he's throwing the ball, So, I mean, just because you got a guy in there on a running situation doesn't mean it's going to be a run, so. But it's nice to hear that he's doing better. But the evidence that we have at hand from the debacle from last year with our coverage and our run defense, like whatever the guards or whatever, we get to the second level, whatever, maybe latch on to Tay Crowder or Micah McFadden or something or whatever, and just basically just take him out of the play. And the running back would, get what, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 yards on a run. And just. But also the other thing which is going to wind up helping is a nice healthy rotation in the front, right? You got the sexy one and Leonard Williams, right? Those two. Now, I don't know if they would take those two off at the same time and bring maybe Nunez Roches in and Ashawn Robinson at the same time, or maybe the sexy one will go off. Nunez Roches will come in, play a couple plays, and Leonard Williams will go out. Ashawn Robinson will come in. When Ashawn Robinson comes in, Sexy Dexy comes back. I'm not sure how they're going to wind up rotating it, but having better beef up front, that's definitely going to help the linebacker playing the back. I mean, because it doesn't matter how good. Even Aaron Donald, if he's playing 3,000 snaps in the game, guess what? After a while, he's going to get tired. I mean, there was the one time I remember it was with Lawrence Taylor, first game of the season. They're playing 1986. They're playing against the Cowboys, and the Cowboys. I mean, their offense usually did very well against the Giants, and it was the first game of the season. The Giants lost 31-28. It was a real good game. Went back and forth. But if you look at the play that they scored on, right? Herschel Walker scored on. It was 28-24. They scored like a minute to go or so, whatever, because the Cowboys got the ball. Giants up by 4, so the Cowboys got to score a touchdown. So the Cowboys marching down the field. And they got, I don't know, around the 7-8 yard line, whatever it was. And it was like a draw play up the middle, something like that. And you can see Lawrence Taylor, he kind of like, I don't know, somebody came and blocked him, and he just kind of like, he really didn't give much of an effort. And he said, I was tired. I don't know if he said he was beat up or whatever. He said, I was out there all night. I was just tired. And I don't know if he said he was embarrassed about what he did and something. But if you ever look at the play, Herschel Walker scores the game-winning touchdown, 1986, opening night. I guess it was, I don't know if it was Sunday night or Monday night, but it was a nighttime game. And I don't know, did they have Sunday night games in 86? So maybe it was a Monday night game. But, Lawrence Taylor said, if you look at him, I mean, somebody goes over there and blocks him, and he didn't really give a real good effort to try to make a tackle. And Herschel Walker kind of walks into the end zone for the game-winning touchdown. Even Lawrence Taylor said, man, I was tired. I was just out there all night and just worn down and all. I mean, it doesn't matter if you got, I said, Leonard Williams and Sexy Dexy out there. After a while, they're going to get tired. I mean, don't matter. I mean, you put the guys out there, for 60, 70 snaps, they're going to get tired. And it's more, you spend more energy being a defensive guy because you got to and you got to react. And run after somebody. I mean, when the offensive lineman he goes to the line of scrimmage, he knows, he puts his hand down, he knows, okay, whatever. I got to try to get my head on this side of him, or I got to try to get in front of him, or I got to try to drive him. But he knows what he's going to do. So he whatever, and he tries to, but the defender's got to, get that, shed him and go run after a ball carrier. I mean, that takes a lot of energy. And I mean, you guys can get worn down. But now that nice rotation we got up front, we got at least 4 guys. And then, hey, who knows, right? Her Ryder Anderson put on about 20 pounds. I was kind of thinking, let's get that guy out to the edge a little bit more, because he's not really super heavy, especially for like an interior. He was like only like 285 or so. I mean, that's a big dude, don't get me wrong. But I mean, the interior, he seemed like he was a little bit better maybe on the edge, maybe, rushing the quarterback. I was kind of maybe get some snaps outside, but he put on apparently about 20 pounds, and I was over 300 pounds. So, I mean, he might get some snaps, right? And don't forget about DJ Davidson. We got Jordan Riley. I mean, we got, what's that other guy's name? I'm so stupid. What's the dude's name? Vernon Butler. I forgot about him too. So I'm not, once again, how many of these guys we're going to actually want to keep it on the roster, but I said, don't forget about Ryder Anderson either, but I mean, so we'll have a nice, nice rotation in there too. So, I mean, that's going to help the linebackers as well. I mean, if the guys up front aren't tired, they're fresh, they can maybe, control some blocks, or or without getting, they won't get swept out of the play as well. So don't forget about that. But I mean, this is very, very, very fair. I mean, what PFF has us ranked as number 22. Oh yeah. Now, if Micah McFadden steps up, if Darian Beavers does well, if Davis catches on, certainly this could go into the teens. I don't see where we're going to be a top 10 linebacking group. I think we need we could use somebody else, but it's tough to get, top 10 all over the place, right? Especially with the salary cap. I mean, unless you find a diamond in the rough, like say Micah McFadden winds up being, or Darian Beavers seems to be the real deal. Well, that's fantastic. Okay. But then after his rookie deal's up, you're not going to be able to keep him anymore because he's going to want too much money. You're not going to have a great ball player, and he's like, well, you know what? You can just pay me $1 million a year, and that's not going to happen. So so it's tough to pay a lot of guys. That's why it's so important to hit on your later round, your third round, your fourth round, your fifth round picks, because you got to have those guys. You got to have those $1 million guys. It's just the way the NFL is nowadays, but. The PFF ranking the Giants at number 22. I think their linebackers, inside linebackers, middle linebackers, whatever you want to call them. I think that's extremely fair. Extremely fair. And I said, the Giants can certainly get into the teens next year if some of these guys step up. But all right, then we got the legend, Mr. Parcells. He explains the importance of hidden yardage. Now, if you ever, it's he was the true example, of like what we got. Jordan Riley, yeah. Don't forget about Jordan Riley too. Yeah, Jordan Riley. Yeah, we got a bunch of guys. We got a lot of competition. A lot of competition. Yeah, I can never remember Vernon Butler, but I mean, you got Ryder Anderson, Jordan Riley, Vernon Butler. Then you got, as I said, obviously Nunez, Roaches, Ashawn Robinson, Leonard Williams, Sexy Dexy. So, I mean, we got a bunch of guys. Oh, did I say DJ Davidson? I'm not sure if I said him or not, but we got a lot of guys. Yeah, so it's a lot of we got a lot of competition everywhere. It's really, really good. Really good. But with Bill Parcells, he's definitely one of the guys, all right? Because if you look at the Giants, and I don't even know if you look at any of his teams, when he was with the Patriots or the Jets or the Cowboys, now with the Giants, I mean, he never had a finale. It was never like, oh man, Bill Parcells, the coach, they're going to have an unbelievable offense. You watch, they're putting up 30 points a game. He had tried to control everything. He had to have some good special teams play, good defense. The offense wasn't super spectacular. The offense just don't loses the ball game. Meaning, right? Don't throw any interceptions. If we don't get a first down, don't fumble the ball. Don't try to throw something in there and get it picked off. It's okay for us to punt it, play the field position game. So he was the epitome of all of that. If I'm going to show you a stat here, which is kind of you take this his second Super Bowl team, 1990. I mean, you talk about a vanilla offense. Holy cow! I know the game's changed a little bit since then, as far as passing, but man, you look at some of these stats. It's just unbelievable. And this is the team that went to the Super Bowl and won. I got to find them here. 1990. Here we go. All right, here's the leading receivers for the New York Giants in 1990. Bill Parcells' last season with the Giants. Stephen Baker, 26 receptions. And these are the wide receivers. Mark Ingram, 26 receptions in 16 games. Basically 1.5 catches a game. Mark Bavard, a tight end, 33 catches, basically 2 catches a game. Lionel Manuel, 11 catches, basically not even 1 catch a game. Howard Cross, 8 catches, half a catch a game. Odessa Turner, 6 catches, basically like a third of a catch a game. Bob Morosky, 3 catches. Stacy Robinson, 2 catches. Our leading wide receiver had 26 catches. Dave Meggett, he was the leader. He had 39 catches. We didn't even have one guy on the team that went to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl who had 40 catches on the team. Not one guy. But, we had, Sean Landeta, very, 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 very good punter. We had Barr, very good field goal kicker. Our defense was were they number 1 in the league as far as giving up points? Yeah, they gave up 13.2 points per game. They were first. They only scored 21 points again. The Giants were only 15th. They were in the second at 15 out of 28 teams, so they weren't even the top half as far as scoring points. But also one of the things the Giants did was they only had 15 turnovers in 19 games. That included the playoffs. 15. So in the regular season, they had, I think that at the time, they set the record for a 16-game schedule. They only gave up 14 turnovers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 out of the 16 games, they had no turnovers. One game against the Cowboys, they gave up 3 turnovers. Yeah, but they only had 14 turnovers in the regular season. 14, and at the time, they set a record. So, so just controlling everything. So if we don't score, right, let us punt. We'll put them back in some deep in their own territory. But we can't give them interceptions. We can't fumble or anything like that. But he explains kind of like. And another thing, how pathetic our offense was in 2021, Judge's second season. Well, in 2021, and I know things have changed and all that stuff and everything. The Giants, was this? What is this here? 2021. Okay, the offense. The Giants that was the overtime game, but the Giants had 2 games where they had over 390 yards of offense in 2021. The horrible offense the Giants had. What did we average then? We averaged 15 points a game. But one of the games we had 485 yards. Another one we had 391 against the Washington football team. So we had 2 games where we had over 390 yards of offense. And even as pathetic as it was, That's still better than anything the Giants did in their 1990 Super Bowl season. 1990, the Giants' best game was 300. Was it 369? Well, they had 386, but that was a Super Bowl. So I'm just basically referring to the regular season because the 2021 team didn't go to the playoffs. So during the regular season, 369 yards against the Cowboys in week 2 was the Giants' best. While the Giants of 2021 would judge as pathetic as that offense was, actually had a couple games that had more yards than the 1990 Giant football team did. I mean, But anyway, with what he explains here, New York Giants Hall of Fame coach Bill Parcells is widely known as one of the foremost coaches in the history of the NFL. That didn't happen in a vacuum. Parcells took knowledge from almost every coach, player, executive, and scout he rubbed elbows with on his way up the ladder. In a piece for the 33rd team published last September, Parcells explains his philosophy about hidden yardage and how it affects the outcome of the game. It was something he picked up from Hall of Fame coach Sid Gilman by way of another longtime head coach and friend, Dan Henning. He said the premise is that 100 yards of field position should equate to 7 points. So basically, as I'm going to read this, right, if at the end of the game, you wind up with, this premise here, if you wind up with 350 yards of offense, that's 100 yards. So basically, every 100 yards is 7 points. So basically, you got 350. So the 300 should be 3 touchdowns. So that should be 21 points. The 50 should give you a field goal. So you should wind up with about 24 points on those 350 yards of offense. So it says the premise is that 100 yards of field position should equate to 7 points. The more I thought about it, the more I asked myself, if this yardage is so important, where is it coming from? Let's take the entire scope of the yardage and evaluate it. So I did. To explain what I found, we're going to start with the obvious, total offense and total defense. So let's say a team has 350 yards of offense in a game. According to that premise, it should have 24 points. Let's say that the same team's defense gives up 300 yards. Well, based on that premise, the opponent should have 21 points. Those are the obvious yards. Where do the hidden yards come from? Parcells explained. So Parcells explained, now, here is how the hidden yardage affects the outcome, especially when you consider half the game are decided by 7 points or less, and a quarter are decided by 3 points or less. People don't look at the penalty differential. It's huge. I mean, he would freak out if a guy would have a holding penalty or something like that. You can't lose. That's what I'm saying. I mean, if you look at, you have 350 yards of offense, right? Basically, at that rate, you should have 24 points as what Bill Parcells was kind of explaining. But if you have 100 yards in penalties, now you're down at 250. So at the end of the day, you had 350 yards. You should have roughly 24 points. Well, now if you have 100 yards in penalties, then it wipes out, maybe 100 yards. So maybe now you're down to, 2 touchdowns and a field goal because of your penalties, hidden yardage. Let's see, and also net punting differential as well. Now, what we have, Sean Landetta was so good. Now, we have, one thing we have with the Scottish Hammer, he can boom the heck out of the ball, but his problem, is that sometimes you need him to nail it in the coffin corner over there, and nail it to, a Tiger Woods, 3-iron or a 6-iron going to the green. You need it to bounce and check up. You don't need him to kick it into the 38th row, right? You're trying to pin him back, and sometimes, it pin him down inside the 10, like Jeff Beagles. He was so good at that, right? Directional punting or whatever, when you got the Scottish Hammer just booming the ball into the end zone and they bring it out to the 20, that's all lost yardage right there. That's hidden yardage right there, right? You're giving them, instead of nailing maybe down around the 7 or 8 yard line, they're coming out to the 20. Well, that's like 12 or 13 yards right there you lost. Hidden yardage. People don't look at the average start of a possession either. Those are hidden yardage, and they all equate to points. Parcells went on to elaborate and broke things down mathematically. He explained how the aforementioned penalty differential, net punting differential, and starting field position could equate to more or fewer points for teams who had the same amount of total yardage. Absolutely. Well, I mean, because obviously you look at it, right? I mean, it's not rocket scientists here. If you have, 350 yards of, and that's the same thing with the turnover differential. That's huge. I mean, that was one of the big things in 1990 team. We didn't turn the ball over. So, I mean, if you have 350 yards of offense, but every time you're getting the ball, you're starting your own 5-yard line, you're in a lot of trouble. But I mean, if turnovers, if you get a turnover and you're starting the ball at midfield, right? Or instead of you pinning somebody down with a punt inside the 10, now you're bringing it out to the 20. That's 10 yards or 12, 13 yards of added field. You give them a couple penalties, you move that out. There's all hidden yardage. Let's see here. If each team had 350 total yards, but one side had worse differentials and starting field position, odds are they would lose the game. And it's sometimes it's a numbers game. That's why it's so important. Sometimes, Bill Parsons would like to control. He would play these hidden yardage stuff. It's like, okay, well, we may not have the greatest offense in the world, but we're not going to have any penalties or few penalties. We're not turning the ball over. If we got a punt, we got a good punter, right? We can get that, win the field differential game, the position, the field position. But we got a good defense. We're going to get some turnovers. We're going to get some sacks. So I mean, he went out of his way to make sure, like, everything, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, they were never an offense. I mean, I wanted the defense back in the 80s to come on the field. I was almost kind of pissed off when the offense came on the field because it was just so blech. I mean, we had some bad offenses back then. I mean, Joe Morris had like over 20 touchdowns in 1985. He had a phenomenal season. That was also the season Phil Simms threw for over 500 yards against the Bengals. However, of course, we lost that game. But, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, Mark Bavaro had over 1,000 yards receiving, but I mean, we never had a wide receiver with Bill Parcells. It was always like Ingram and maybe 35 catches or what, Stephen Baker, the touchdown maker, he winds up with maybe 45 catches. I mean, you look at some of those other teams, like, we never had a Jerry Rice. And we had Phil Simms, who was good with the ball for the most part. We had a tough, gutsy offensive line. But, I mean, we never had a good offense, a good wide receiver, a phenomenal wide receiver. Somebody could take the top off. Never. I mean, not with Parcells. He always tried to control everything. Good defense. Defense was very, very important. And I brought this up before. 1985, the Giants, they went into the playoffs and they lost to the Chicago Bears in the divisional round 21-0. Now, keep in mind, nothing. So when after the season's over and you lost to the Bears, that 1985 wound up winning the Super Bowl. So when you lose to the best team in football and you score no points, the Giants gave up 21, but one was Sean Landeta missed the ball. Basically, it skimmed off the side of his foot, rolled off to the side. A Bear player picked it up and ran it for a touchdown. So basically, we gave him 7 points. So basically, the Giants defense gave up 14 points, but our offense scored nothing. So the following season, especially the Giants had 4 second-round picks. The following season, the top 6 players that the Giants drafted, I mean, if you're scoring no points against the Bears, don't you think you might want some offense? I think you would, but nope, not Bill Parcells. The top 6 picks he had in the 1986 NFL draft were all defensive players. He didn't take I forgot, was it third or fourth round? I can't remember who the first guy was. I know he took a wide receiver later on. But he first top 6 picks, all defense. Couldn't score a point in a divisional playoff game against the Bears. So we don't want to beef up the offense at all. He took 6 defensive players. So everything was, his hidden yardage, these mathematics and all this stuff to give yourself the best position and put your team in the best position to win. It's okay if you don't score. Make sure you punt the ball away. Don't have any penalties. Don't have any turnovers. We'll play the position game. We got a good defense. The defense will get it, will win us some games and stuff like that. So, I said, if you look at Bill Parcells, especially with the Giants, never, ever had a fantastic passing attack. We had some games where he scored some points, absolutely. But, never had a wide receiver out there like Jerry Rice or anybody like that. Not even close. But it says this explains why Bill Parcells always talked about the game in thirds. Offense, defense, and special teams. Each one was so important. And why he built his rosters the way he did. He would always stress the importance of each and how a team can lose games if just one of them fails to perform. If the special teams fails to perform, you can lose a game. If the offense fails to, perform, obviously same thing with the defense. That is why individual statistics never meant much to Parcells. As you can see, if you were a wide receiver and you were like me, right? Some of the wide receivers that we have nowadays are like a Michael Irvin or something like that. Throw me the ball and stuff like that. You wouldn't do very well with Bill Parcells. Parcells, just his team's performance as a whole. He was the one to coin the NFL scouting combine, the Underwear Olympics, and that was not the determining factor as it is now. But he stressed that so much, so much. The Underwear Olympics. Funny. But yeah, Bill Parcells, yeah. So if you look at the teams back in, the wide receivers we had, it's like, are we ever going to get any? Hey, man, Stephen Baker, Lionel Manuel, Mark Bavara, some of those guys, oh man, you love the guys and all that and everything. Stacey Robinson, but never ever had anybody who was just, what's 3rd and 8? We need a reception. Who are you going to throw it to? The way we had OBJ. Well, okay, all right, OBJ, we need 8. I'm throwing it. You just stick your one arm up, come down with it, get 8. We'll move. We never ever had anything like that. So, but in my continuing series here, the coaching staffs of the 4 teams in the NFC East. All right. So I got the Giants, obviously Giants, Eagles, Cowboys, and the Commanders. Right. So here, I think I was a little sick and tired of the last couple of positions I did. The Giants didn't do too well. So here, okay, with the coaching staff. Now, it's one thing to maybe go to the Super Bowl like Nick Sirianni and all of that. It's great, hey, cool, yeah. But the Eagles would have. If you ever go to mangameslost.com last year, the Eagles were the 4th least injured team in fall football. They had like nobody injured. Jalen Hurts was hurt for a couple games, but nothing big. 4th least team. The Giants were like the 6th most. But also, if you look at the rosters, right? So to me, a good coach gets the most out of the least. That's Brian Daboll. Nick Sirianni, basically, here you go, Nick. Here you go. Here's the finest team in all the land. Here you go. And nobody's going to get injured, right? Well, you're supposed to do good, and they did good, but he didn't win a Super Bowl, right? So and plus, I think he's just a straight up douche. Anybody who's, I don't know if that was against the Giants or whatever it was. You remember the time when he's like looking into I think their teams like, I don't know, maybe it was against the Giants. And they were beating the Giants, and Sirianni's like looking into the camera, going, I've never seen a coach do that. That's just absolutely classless, totally classless. So to me, he's a worthless piece of human trash. And I was so happy when they lost the Super Bowl because he's a piece of garbage. So to me, It's what you do with the least, and you get the most out of them. So that's Dable and company. So I got the Giants at number one. Number one. What Wink, Kafka, and Dable did with the team that was supposed to, wasn't supposed to make the playoffs, probably wasn't supposed to have a winning record. We were first year of the rebuild or whatever you want to call it and all that. And they went that far. And of course, Dable, coach of the year. Absolutely. So the Giants coaching staff, numero uno. Right now, this is it's pretty much backwards. Almost pretty much back how everybody finished. I got, and this one was tough. I got the Eagles last only because Nick Sirianni, and he's a douche, but he was given the best team in all football, and you're supposed to do good, and they did. They did good. They went to the Super Bowl. Nobody was injured for the most part. They lost, so that's not impressing me. But they got, is it Sean Desai from this is his first year as a defensive coordinator, first year. And Brian Johnson, I believe, is his first year as a defensive coordinator. Let me see. I got it over here. The 3,412 tabs. Up. There we go. Brian Johnson. Yeah, Brian Johnson. Okay. So now he is their offensive coordinator. He was their quarterback's coach. He was an offensive coordinator and quarterback coach for Florida. So he's never been – he's never been an offensive coordinator in the NFL. He was an offensive coordinator, looks like for Houston in college. He was an offensive coordinator for Utah, but he's never been a offensive coordinator in the NFL. So this is his first season, Brian Johnson. And Sean Desai, this is his first season as being a defensive coordinator. He was a defensive assistant with Seattle last year. Oh, I'm sorry. He was a defensive coordinator for 1 year with the Bears. So this will be his second season as a defensive coordinator. He was the defensive coordinator for 1 year, 2021. So not a lot to go by there, right? As far as experience and all and everything. Plus, some of these guys, you look like Jack Del Rio and Eric Bieniemy's been around a while, but Ron Rivera's been around, Dan Quinn. A lot of these guys got a lot of experience to them. These guys here, the guys for the Eagles, don't have, and even Nick Sirianni doesn't have a lot of coaching experience. Mike McCarthy, he's a douche too, but he's got a lot of experience. Ron Rivera, a lot of coaching experience. The same, the one thing they all have in common, which Dable does not, Sirianni, Rivera, and McCarthy have all gone to Super Bowls. McCarthy's the only one that won one, but they all have Super Bowl experience. So I got the Eagles at fourth because Sirianni, and he doesn't have a ton of experience. He was given the best team. So he took the best team and he brought them to the Super Bowl. Well, that's pretty much what you're supposed to do. Right. And I said, so I got the Commanders. The Commanders and the Cowboys. That was a tough one. That was tough. But I took the Commanders with the second best coaching staff. It's kind of hard to take that coaching staff because what they wound up doing last year, as far as record wise, the Cowboys at least were second in the division. The Commanders were last, but you also look at the team the Commanders had too. The Commanders don't have the offense that the Cowboys do, and so Ron Rivera is probably doing more with less. Plus, Ron Rivera's been around a while. Jack Del Rio's the defensive coordinator. Now, Dan Quinn, the coordinator for the Cowboys, I really love him. But I'm not that high on McCarthy. He did good with the Packers when they had, Aaron Rodgers was there. Brett Favre was there. So he did good when they had Hall of Fame quarterbacks. How's he doing now? He's leading them to the playoffs, but have they won it? You know what I mean? So I got Ron Rivera. I think Ron's doing more with far less. I don't know. Their quarterback situation. I don't know about that, but I think he's doing as best he can with what he has. And I said Jack Del Rio is a very decent. Jack Del Rio, he's got quite a bit of head coaching experience and defensive coordinator. I mean, he's been assistant. He was the assistant strength coach with the Saints in 1997. Then he was their linebacker coach in 98. So this is like his 25th season, Jack Del Rio. He also played in the NFL as well, too. So he's got Del Rio's got a ton of experience. Then, of course, you got Eric, the enemy. I mean, the man, all he does is go to Super Bowls. So this is going to be, now he's on his own little island. There's none of this Patrick Mahomes, and maybe Andy Reid is calling the plays and this, that. So Eric's on his own island now. So now it's all sink or swim. So if they don't do so well, it's on him. But he's got a ton of experience. I mean, what's he been? Let's see here. Running backs coach with the Colorado in 2001, 2002. So basically he went back to his alma mater. So he's got over 20 years of coaching experience, but he's got a ton of Super Bowl knowledge, Super Bowl experience, running great offenses with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs and all. So I think I got the Commanders in second. Said was what Ron Rivera has been doing with the Commanders with far less than what the Cowboys and the Eagles have. And I said I like Del Rio and Bieniemy. So I got the Commanders in second. I got the Cowboys are in third. I said I'm not the highest on McCarthy. Dan Quinn, good defensive coordinator without question. And then they got Brian Schottenheimer. Now apparently McCarthy's going to be calling plays. They let Moore go, so we'll have to want to wait and see how that winds up working out. I like Moore. I thought he was very good at calling plays, but somebody's got to be a full out guy, and apparently Moore is the full out guy. So but Moore's the full out guy. Last year, if McCarthy doesn't whip this team into at least a championship game or something, McCarthy might be the full out guy coming this year. So we'll have to wait and see. But so I got McCarthy because he's got a lot more coaching and knowledge. He's been to the Super Bowl as well, too. He's been to plenty of playoff games. Quinn's a good defense coordinator, Schottenheimer. Schottenheimer's been around for a long time. Where are we at here? Brian Schottenheimer. He's been wide receiver coach of Syracuse, Kansas City. Oh, he was an assistant for the Rams in 1997. So he's been around a long time as well, too. So he's been an offensive coordinator with the Seahawks for 3 years. He was an offensive coordinator for Georgia in 2015, offensive coordinator for the Rams for 3 years, an offensive coordinator for the Jets for 6 seasons. So I mean, he's been around. He's been college, pros, offensive coordinator, quarterback. So I got the Cowboys at number 3, and I said the Eagles, even though they went to the Super Bowl, they lost both their coordinators, and they have 2 new guys coming in with either no experience as an offensive coordinator or 1 year of defensive coordinator experience. So there's not a lot to go by there. So I got the Giants in first. Yes. As far as the coaching. So the Giants get 4 points. I got the Commanders they're in second place. They got 3 points. The Cowboys are in third place there. They got 2, and they got the Eagles. They got 1. So after all of this, all right, what do we got here? After all of this, what do we got? I got cornerback, safeties, and special teams still to go. So I got 3 more positions to go. The Eagles are in first place. They got 32. Cowboys are in second place. They got 29. The Giants got 27, and the Commanders got 22. So we got 3 more positions left to go. I don't think anybody's going to catch the Eagles, but that's because they got the best roster. It is what it is. Well, it's been 58 minutes. Whoever spent any time at all listening to me, thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time at all watching any part of the replay, this once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I greatly appreciate it. Terrence, as always, buddy, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you. And as always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.